What's good? What's poppin'? And welcome to the Stay Zealous Podcast with your host, Cam Jones, the one and only You Can't Clone Me. And thank you to every single one of y'all that are watching, no matter if it's on Spotify, on YouTube, on Apple, that one too, if you're listening on that one, for all the support and everything. It's been really cool. It's a cool journey. We're growing as a community, growing as people together. And really this space is just a space for us to reach purpose together by having passionate conversations, talking about the things that we love to do, and becoming the most authentic version of ourselves. It's my hope that every single one of us as I'm walking through this journey of trying to become the best version of myself, that I bring other people alongside with me and help you as well. So that's essentially what this community and what we're doing together. So all the conversations that we've had, all the episodes, if you haven't seen any of those other ones, please go watch them. I believe there's really great things that, really great content that can really help all of us grow on our journey towards purpose together. But we're here back with another episode, and I have another guest with me. And we were literally talking before this because I've known this person for a long time. And sometimes when you think about how old you is as a person, I'm 28 right now. And sometimes things feel very, very, they don't seem so far along because it feels like yesterday. Like I still can vividly remember high school and even middle school and some things. So it doesn't seem that long. But then when you look at the years, you're like, wow, I've really known this person for, I think we said like 14 or 13 years. That we've known each other, which is crazy. And it's not like we've been in the same community much more for that time frame, but just knowing someone and being able to keep up with them, social media, all those things, you still know the person. But of course, our lives gone different ways. But it is really cool because we did go to high school with one another. We were friends in high school, friends throughout college. And then, of course, life went whatever life went. And then we rekindled, I would say, 2020, I think it was. And her and I and my wife, we all got lunch together, and then they became friends, and that's always a crazy thing too, which is so different because I was friends with her first, and then now she was friends with my wife. So that's the thing. But regardless, it's really cool that we all get to mesh together. But I'm excited to have her on. She said yes. She agreed to come on this. So we really don't know what we're going to talk about, but I am very excited because when I did know was close to her in high school, she's a great friend. She's very empathetic, cares for people really well. I definitely know this because she was a teacher. That's a whole thing. And then she works in Speed Pass now. So all of that combined is like you really have to have a heart for people, just want to care for people deeply. And she definitely embodies that a lot. And so I'm thankful to call her my friend, thankful that she's here, thankful that she's friends with my wife too, because that's always a great thing. But I'm really excited for you to be on this. But to introduce to some people that may not know and some people that may know, Marissa Guerrero is in the house. Thank you for being on the podcast. Air horns. Do you remember that? What is it? The app, the air horn app. You go, pew, 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 pew.
That and the lighter app.
bro, the apps that we had
in the water.
Yes. So think about it. So it's like I don't know when the iPod Touch came out, but like it comes out and you had so you had the Blippo or whatever, the fire.
Yeah.
You had that, the water, like the fart app,
the garbage
toss, and it's like these were the games, and you're like, watch this.
We were living in like 3008 though.
Just a little
throwing
lighter,
trash away,
throwing
on
trash
the
in a game,
screen.
and literally flicking a lighter bulb. Watch it. Like there's no significance to this thing whatsoever.
Light anything. Doesn't warm up.
Doesn't warm up. You're like, look at my phone. Honestly, I was like, what an era to live in. To be like, you have a phone. And it's before like iPhone merged everything. It's like you have a phone, but then you have an iPod.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I could walk on the bus, still be on my phone, and have an iPod.
Yeah. And then you had like a desktop computer at home. And now all of that's in one.
Yep. Crazy, right?
Pocket computer, pocket MP3 player, pocket texter, caller.
Talks, phone, house line.
House
phone.
Like,
you're like, what's that?
Typewriter.
Typewriter. It's like pager, beeper. You're like, what? It's all in one. The iPhone is encompassing everything.
Floppy disk drive.
Yeah, literally. You're like, cassette. You're like, what's the other things? Vinyl.
Record player.
Player. You just keep A-track. You're just like, whoa. People are going to be like, are they really 28? What are they? Xylophone. You're like, trombone. You just start going through all these different instruments. You're like, It can do all
really
that.
come a long way.
We have come a long way, but thank you.
Oh
no, for sure. But thank you for being on the podcast. Thank you for pulling up, driving all the way from where you come about on the other side of Houston to make it up to these parks.
From wherever you're from.
From whatever planet you're from. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you coming all the way from Pluto. I didn't know they built people like you over there. You were like, what the?
Built different, they say. So.
Out of this world.
Mrs. Worldwide over here.
Yeah, literally. Like, who is that? The pit bull that says that? Like, take that, boy. Like, I'm Mrs. Girlwide. I'm out of here. Brother, we haven't started nothing yet. I'm crying, bro.
Oh my God, I'm crying. That was good.
Mrs. Girlwide. See when you change it, it's much worse than what it is. It's like, it's really bad.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining. We'll see y'all next week. But all that to say, I really do appreciate you for coming. I know I threw it on you like, really spontaneous. It's like, hey, you want to pull up? And you're like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. And
but
then your assistant,
my
coordinator,
my wonderful assistant, aka my wife,
and my agent.
Your agent now. She got you nurse clusters before this, dude. It's like, I have stuff for you. That helped out, but I really do appreciate you. I mean, I have told you about. I had to show you what the space was. I know you heard my intro, but okay, cool. But yeah, that's really the biggest thing. Anytime I invite guests, it's really whatever the conversation goes and what happens is what happens. It's nothing set, but I truly think that God can do a lot through a conversation, and I think a lot of people can learn through a conversation as well. And that's really all we want to do. So a lot of people. Anyone that's watching and things, they don't know who you are. I know things about you, but obviously, like there came a point where like life went like obviously you were in a completely different state for college and all that. So like so much happened. So I know you up to a certain point, and then of course things that we chatted about when we were eating dinner before this and much more. But the biggest question I just want to ask, I guess, really get things started is like, who is Marissa? Like, what's your story? Who are you? Tell the humans, tell everyone, like just who you are, your story, and everything.
Yeah. So I'm Marissa. Period. No. Yeah. So like Cam said, we've known each other for a really long time, but obviously we developed like as humans, as friends. And definitely the person that I was when Cam met me 14 years ago. Is that what we're
I think it was at 20, I think somewhere around that. 13, 14, 2011, 2012 is a long time ago.
Let's stick with 14. It's a nice even number.
There you go. 10 years. 10, 11. 11 years. Let's do that. That's fine.
But yeah, it's definitely different than the person like I am now. Thanks for that intro though. That was so sweet.
My
Big
pleasure.
words of Afro. So
hey, we love that.
But yeah, I think so. You just like want my life story.
Who you be?
Is like who I be.
Who you be?
Yeah, I think I actually just got like told this actually of just trying to like live my life as in little control as possible, and like realizing that I can't keep deceiving myself of like being in control of like anything, like no matter what, like if I choose to talk to someone or not, like the Lord's will be done. And like I like really clung to that recently in this like stage of life of just like whether I like go out of my way to like help someone, or if I don't, like that person's going to see Christ at some point. Those seeds will be planted. And so like relinquishing a lot of that control has just helped, and like realizing like the effort that it also takes on my side and like my faith and my relationship with Christ of just like he, again, like his will be done no matter what. And like he gives me opportunities to be an active participant in that.
Absolutely.
And like I either choose to partake in those opportunities and like glorify him and grow the kingdom, or I don't. So it's just like an active choice all the time. And so I would say like that's like been the thing that I've clung to most in like this new season of life of like having my second career start and like being an adult all over again 2.0 like after graduating with like my master's and stuff, of just like okay, like who am I going to be in this like new chapter of my life? And like that's like definitely been the mantra and like the background theme of just like, am I going to choose yes or am I going to choose no? Like, am I going to be an active participant in this opportunity for him and his kingdom, or am I going to choose me and be in the world, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's kind of like my guiding principle.
No, that's cool. So tell me like, so that's a guiding principle now, as you mentioned, things like second adulthood. I think one thing that's cool, when we were turning 25, your frontal lobe like finally developed, and it's like, dang, I'm an adult. It's like, but I'm like 2 or 3 years old, like in adult years, almost like right after you turn 25.
I'm just a girl.
You're like, I'm just a girl
just
out
a
here.
baby.
I'm just out here. And when you just think about that within itself, we get to a certain point of our lives and we start to understand things a lot differently. I think like going from high school, going to college, college in general is the first opportunity where you are almost adulting. Shine and I, we used to do this group. It was called Not So Young Adults, and it was specifically for 18 to 22 because they are young adults, but they're not so young adults because most of them that were in our group, like either they were working, going to community college, or they were in college. Like that's where they're at. So they're by themselves doing life, driving around, doing what they do, but their lifestyle is a mixture of a lot of things. Like maybe they did have some bills that their parents still paid, or maybe they were still living at home and then going to college. Maybe they did roommate with some friends, but they haven't experienced like the whole world or getting smacked in the face by just what life throws at them. So they're not so young adults. And the goal was to kind of sit in that pocket and then help them transition into like fully being adult where they're paying bills, doing life and all those things like that. So it was a really cool group that we do. We really enjoyed it. But as you mentioned, like the second adulting, like I would love for you to go like just talk about the first adulting, because that's the whole thing too. Is like you can get to a certain point, and the great thing about having guiding principles is there is a lot of lessons and stories that actually go with it.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to share, like I would love to know like more about like what was that journey life in terms of even getting to that point, because I think everyone's journey when it comes to wanting to glorify God, living in a relationship with Christ, living in a relationship with people, and much more, there's a story behind it. And I think that really gets you to the point of what that guiding principle was. So I would love for you to like share more of that and what that was like.
Yeah, so I would say like my first adulthood, I guess, my first go around at it, it was whenever I like graduated from college. I went to the University of Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner. Yeah. And like I was just like, I'm in a different state as my family. Let's rage. And then like nothing, I literally lived the most like PG-13 college life, honestly.
Was there a reason why you picked, I don't even know if I knew why the reason you picked OU when we were coming out of high school. Was there a reason why you chose OU?
Yeah, so I only applied to OU and Baylor, and then I got into both, but then I was like, I don't want to go to college where like anyone from high school went. I like wanted a complete fresh start. And then OU offered me a bigger scholarship anyway.
You're like, say less, here I'm you're like,
okay,
not only
no
can I get away,
debt.
but also I can, it's like,
No
here I
debt,
come.
say less. And so I was like, oh, new, like, people, new place, new state, no debt, was all like very appealing. And honestly, I was like super into football. And so I'm like, they're a powerhouse in the Big 12. So compared
They
to
were
Baylor.
a good team back in the day. Now, Baylor was struggling back in the day.
Oh my gosh, they peaked while I was there. Because we had Baker Mayfield, we had Jalen Hurts, we had Kyler Murray. That was it. Yeah, because Baker was my first
Ford
2 years.
was that.
We had Trevor Knight for like a hot minute, but like
there's a lot of
he's not worth it.
There's a lot of cats that were there.
Yeah.
And like what that was, 2015,
yeah, CD Lamb,
CD Lamb
Joe
was
Mixon,
there.
all of them.
That's some dogs.
Woof woof.
Woof 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 woof. Ew. You're like, we had some dog. Woof. Like what the? Like, I'm a dog. Joe Mixon on the field at running back. Woof. Yeah, because what? Yeah, CD Lamb was there. 2016 to 2018. Was that when he was there?
We had Sterling Shepard.
Sterling Shepard, he kind of fell off. I mean, he's still in the NFL, but I mean,
He's still, yeah.
He there. Making more money than me. So he do what he do. You do you. If you ever watch this, Sterling Shepard, you do you. No, that's cool. Yeah. Definitely a good place to go for football, 100%.
Yeah.
Three
like
Heisman's
really
back? Jalen Hurts, Baker, and Kyler all won the Heisman's. Was it back to back? They all won Heisman's at OU, didn't they?
Yeah, but I don't think it was back to back. Yeah, because I think it was Kyler that got second place. Or was it Jalen? One of them were runner-up one, and then they got it the following
year?
I think.
Maybe. I just know that all three...
You can fact check it after this. There's...
Hey, Google.
ChatGPT,
can you help me, please?
Yeah, so then just like went there, and then once I graduated, moved back to Houston. Was an elementary special ed teacher through like Teach for America for 3 years.
And how was that?
It was really good. So the Houston branch of it like didn't have a special education program, and I was like very passionate about like if I'm gonna be doing like in the trenches work, I'm gonna be doing it for like the underserved and under like
that's cool.
And like the minority of a minority, and so like special ed was like very important to me, and like I was just really passionate about it. So I mentioned that to them, and I was like, this is something like I'd really be interested in. And they're like, well, we don't have like a background, like we don't have like a protocol for that. Like we don't like teach.
Oh, so it was you basically like helped start it basically like for that
was
part.
Like what we agreed on of just like, okay, if you want to do this, like you're going to be like the guinea pig, and like while you're learning and like doing your certification and everything, like you're writing the guidelines and policies and like steps and protocol. And I was like, okay, where do I sign? I'll do it.
Say less.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, me a trailblazer?
You're like, man. Not only did I trail my blaze up to Oklahoma, but I'm trailblazing in Houston too.
Keep it going. But so then like agreed to that, and that was like its own hurdles to begin with, because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just a baby. Like I just graduated with my bachelor's. And now I'm like writing this whole program.
Like creating curriculum at 21, 22 years old.
I was like, who do I think
That's
I
insane.
am? Like I bit off a lot more than I can chew. Like what is happening? And that was like truly like, when I felt like I was like surrendering a lot. Cause I'm like, this can't all be coming for me. And I know that for a fact.
Yeah.
Especially like, after that first year where I like had everything that like I submitted to them of like dotting my I's, crossing my T's. And I was like, I don't even know what's in this. Like that truly wasn't me. So that was just really cool. But I never got a full year of like normal teaching because COVID cut it off.
Oh, wow.
Because that was my first spring break.
Your first spring break.
Spring break of 2020, and I started teaching the fall of 2019.
Oh yeah, because you did the program to start teaching for the fall.
Yeah.
Because what was your major at OU?
I doubled in psychology and sociology.
Okay, and then you did the teach, and then you started the fall, and then spring break of the second semester, COVID happened.
Yeah, so I never got a full year, but then I like loved teaching in quarantine.
You're like, well, can't do much. I'm out of here.
Yeah, well, like I would have like my little video calls with my kids, and I'll just be like touching base with them and like do a quick like individualized lesson, and then give them their homework. Yeah,
because you didn't have a lot of like, there's not a lot of kids in the class.
Right. Yeah. Like so my biggest ratio was 6 to 1.
Oh yeah, so it's like, it didn't take all day to do all. Yeah, right. That's tough.
So it was super nice, and then I would just like bake banana bread.
You're like, you out here making banana bread. You're like, hey, have a parent teacher conference on Zoom, like, child's doing great, like Billy's doing an amazing job, and I made banana bread.
We tried chocolate chip peanut butter swirl today.
Like, look what we did.
Yeah, so then COVID hit, and I continued teaching for 2 more years. And then on my 3rd year was whenever I started my first year of grad school. And so like did those at the same time. And I think like during like that first like section of it, I really like white knuckled the theme of like die to self, of just like you're nothing without like the Lord and like everything. And I took it and like ran with it a little too much, of like becoming really toxic with it, of just like I would choose anyone and anything like over myself, and like I truly like dwindled myself to be like a mustard seed, not in like the best way, like just that was just like imagery purposes because they're so tiny.
Yeah.
And like really like lost my identity just because I was just like stripping myself of anything and everything, and like giving everything to like friends, family, like relationships that I was in and stuff. And so then whenever I started grad school, I like realized that, and I'm just like, okay, well, this is like who I want to be. Like, this is who I'm working towards. Like, I'm doing these classes. I'm like working full time and a full time student. Like, why am I putting myself through this? And like always remembering my why, just like that's end game. Like, that's what I want for the rest of my life.
For
and
sure.
like, okay, now like that like triggered the transition of just like, okay, I really like made this a negative theme rather than like the positive of like dying to self and like finding your identity in the Lord rather than yourself. And like I just did it as like you have no identity. And so that was like the first round of adulthood was just literally like killing myself off.
Dang, that's tough.
And I'm the main character in my
Like,
life.
and
I killed myself off the second season.
In season 2, it's like, what is this movie even about anymore? What is this show about anymore? Like,
no one knows. I didn't know.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of just like,
line?
literally like random shows that just like, it's someone's name. Let's see. I'm trying to think of just a show where it's just that person's name as the show.
Dexter.
It's like Dexter dies season 1. You're just like, think this sucks.
Like,
like, how am I supposed to continue watching this? Like, what is going on?
Yeah, what's the point?
Yeah, like the point. Oh, that's insane. Because like you didn't grow up in church or anything?
I was raised in a Catholic home, but it was very much so a religion over faith of just like, we're doing like our Sunday classes. You're going to do like your everything up to your confirmation. Like we're going to mass every like Sunday morning and like all of this. It was just like going through the motions, checking off the boxes. You like confess every like Saturday night. Mm-hmm. So we like did all of that. But then I went to a summer Christian camp with some friends the summer going into 8th grade, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then that's like a non-denominational like Christian camp out of New Braunfels. And that's where like I was like shown like what I call like the true gospel of just like him like washing our feet, and like that's what like our counselors did. And like I remember like I was in the middle of the sports field and I was just like bawling my eyes out because I just felt like I was like living a lie. Like before that, of just like, oh my gosh, I was like doing like I was truly like idolizing all of these actions and like thinking that I could earn and like get this works-based faith, and like that was like completely missing the mark altogether. And like I was like striving for what was I striving for in that situation? Like no matter what, like he already died on the cross and like chose me.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like that's when I would say like I kind of like denounced Catholicism and just became like a true Christian and like what I define it as.
Yeah.
And so like that was like in 8th grade. Yeah. And then like since then, like did the typical like highs and lows.
Yeah.
Of like being at a camp high and then like reality hit of like school lows, but then I would like join FCA, so there's a high, and then like all the like stuff. So
trying to navigate something and not being planted at the same time is a very difficult thing to do.
Right.
To have something so fulfilling and realize it and know it, it's really, really cool until you're not around it all the time. And so you mentioned camp life. And so I didn't go to a lot of camps growing up. I didn't go to like Christian camps or anything like that. I grew up in the church, but I didn't go to a lot of these camps. Probably the only camp I went to is when I was in Young Life, and that was like going into like my senior year. So that was the only time I actually went to a Christian camp. Like I was always in VBS, and I was like doing youth stuff and momming for church and all these different things. Like we were heavily involved in church. I just didn't go to camps. But camps, in the same way as conferences, when you go, you are packing in a short amount of time, a week or less, a lot of community, a lot of the presence of God, a lot of opportunity, and a lot of transformation, and a lot of space for people to just be as vulnerable as possible.
Right.
Especially when they are like kids camps and for youth and young adults. Like you're providing a space for them to be away from family, just with their friends, and you get them like all the food, all the sports, all the games. Every camp has high ropes, so you like put them in like very adrenaline rushing situations and like zip lines, and put them all these things where they don't have to worry about anything,
right.
but just being the base layer of who they are as people. And then you put them in a session, and we're like, Jesus loves you, and they're like, He loves me. This is amazing, and so it's really fulfilling. And then you get out of the camp setting,
right.
And then you get back into what would be in this quote unquote reality. And then it's really hard to stay planted if the people or what you're around is that. And you mentioned like being in a like Catholic home. And at this point, 8th grade, going to 9th grade, like that time frame, you're like, all right, I am like more non-denominational, like Christian, want to go to church, kind of do this thing. Was it a weird dynamic for like family, like siblings, anything like that, like being at home and that kind of being the case where if y'all did go, like if they went to church on Sunday and you're like, actually, I want to go over here with my friends, but you're like, I can't drive. So like, well, y'all need to drop me off type of thing. So like, what's it going to look like? Or was it, did you feel more by yourself? Like, I'm just going to stay home, or like, oh, I'll still go with y'all. And then kind of just be chilling in the back. I ain't gonna confess, but like I'll be in the back. Like, what was it? What was that like? Because I can't even think what that is because my grandma was Catholic. My grandpa was Baptist, which is the most interesting, insane dynamic
That's a
of all time. No, it's wild because my grandpa go to like black church, like Southern Baptist black church. So they in church like, and he was a deacon. He counted the money. So like when they in church, like 6 a.m. to like 2 p.m. in the afternoon,
overtime. And
literally, and my grandma's like 5 a.m. waking up, sunrise service, she back by 8 and like going to Walmart. So it's such a weird dynamic. So I would love to know, like, I don't know what that is. I've gone to church with her before, but I was like, ooh, this ain't like Papa's church at all. This is not like it. I've stood up 17 times. This bench is uncomfortable, this pew. And then Papa's church, I'm like, they've been singing the same song for 17 hours. It doesn't get any better. But that was me growing up. So I would love to know, what was that like? What was that dynamic from whenever you like made that shift for yourself?
Yeah, it didn't change too much because like I like still went to church with them on Sundays, but then like Sunday afternoons, like I would go to church with like my friends that like went to like a non-denominational church, and
got it.
Like I still like. I promised my mom that I was like going to do everything up to confirmation. And so like I still fulfilled that promise to her.
And when does that happen? Is that a certain age?
In high school.
It just happens in high. It's not like.
Yeah, I think it's freshman year.
Okay, got it. So it's like a certain. It's just whenever.
But like, I also don't follow that. But
like, it was going to show up at some point.
Yeah. I don't know if there's like even documentation of it. Like,
you're like, well,
the Vatican.
Oh my gosh.
The Vatican archives.
The Vatican have not been confirmed.
Confirmed in 2011. I don't know. But so like I still fulfilled that, but like at the end of that, like my mom was kind of like the spiritual leader in the house of just that, like she was the one that like made the plans of we're going to this time, like mass at this time. The kids have to go to like this VBS, or like she was just like the one that took that and ran with it and was in control. And so then once like I stopped showing like a huge desire to like be Catholic, I guess, then like the rest of the family kind of fell away from the church. Just like further emphasizing like how much of a religion than like a faith that was in my eyes. While like I still went to church like with my friends. And that was just like a weird transition because I was just like so young, like in high school, and like kind of becoming like the spiritual leader in my family, but like not realizing that was the case. So just like I think I remember my brother like came home with like a new like rap CD or something. Oh my gosh, CD, dating myself.
You're like, can't with a 8-track, can't with a cassette, a VHS.
Right, sound, like downloading the LimeWire.
Oh my gosh, LimeWire and FrostWire. Hey,
yeah, spamming the whole family computer.
My iPod Touch had all the music. Did that make me a criminal? Don't know, but I had every track.
Yeah,
known to man.
No, literally, and he like got the CD and he like played the first song like on our family like stereo in the living room, And I was just like, hey, like, I don't want to listen to this. Like, can you just change it?
Do you remember what CD it was? Do you remember what?
No, and it's going to bother me. I don't even.
Because this would be like 2020, Take Care Drake.
Oh my gosh, I think it may have been President Carter.
Oh, wow. So he came flying in. He didn't just cruise in.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I think, yeah, because that's the one with him as a baby in the red graduation.
No, you're talking about the Carter. Is that the Carter 4? I think that's the Carter 4 when he has when he's a toddler with a graduation cap.
His tattoos.
It looks like Lil Wayne. It's Lil Wayne as a toddler, but it's with all the tattoos on. I'm pretty sure that's the Carter 4.
I think so, but I'm pretty sure it was Lil Wayne though. And he like played the music, and I was like, hey, like I don't want to be like listening to that. Like, can you stop? And he was like, what? Everyone's listening to it.
You're like,
he's
not
like, this
me.
just came out. It's a new release. Like, da da da. And I was just like, no, like I don't want to be like filling my head with these. Like, I was so mature.
Don't catch me spiritually slipping.
Yeah,
Wheezy
I
F
just,
baby.
like, listen to it when I'm not like in the room or like when I'm not home. I just like don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And then like he was like, what? Okay, weird. And then like I think like he like started realizing like what my boundaries kind of were. Like even like when we choose movies, he'd be like, oh well, like Marissa doesn't want to watch that like kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
And so like at least he was like protective in it and a little bit in those like kinds of like little ways. But yeah, so it was just like a weird transition of just like denouncing what my family's been practicing since before I was even born, and then like that kind of fading away, and then like me kind of like being that presence in the family. Until I left for college, and then like was still very heavy in like a Christian community all throughout college.
Yeah, for sure. That's an insane weight. It's not. It's an insane weight, not because it was just directly placed on you,
right?
But it is interesting. Did you feel as if you had? Did you feel shame at any point? Because you did mention like whenever you started like going to different church and everything, like your family just kind of everyone kind of went their own way, kind of did their own thing. Like to be someone that's in their teens and to feel like, okay, I'm kind of carrying a lot of spiritual weight right now because like we went to Catholic church, we don't, and like we're somewhat of a spiritual family in this sense, but like I'm the only one going to church at this point, and I'm 15, 16 years old, and like I'm kind of making sure I kind of like dictate a lot of what we do. That's what said, it's a lot of weight to be placed on at that age. But I'm curious to know, like, did you feel like, oh, this is all my fault? Like, kind of the rest of the family kind of doing their own thing, because it seemed, I don't know what that would feel like, but I'm thinking, like, just hearing what you're saying, I'm like, how did that feel? I guess it's my big thing. Like, how did it feel? It was just like you're kind of doing your thing, but like everyone else is kind of setting boundary stuff based on like how you're doing, which is pretty respectful. They're like, we're not going to play this movie. Part. Yeah, you're like,
I won't say it was consistent, but
you're like, for the most part, it's like we watched this movie, but I mean, still that consideration is kind of a big deal. Especially from an older brother. Like, I don't know, my siblings would never do it, but I'm just imagining they're like, I don't want to do this. And plays President Carter. You're like, and I don't care. Like, that's great. You're doing that.
I think it was, he only like, quote unquote, respected those boundaries just because he knew he didn't want to hear the rant that like came behind it. Or like he did it. He'd like, it's like, it's better to just like compromise to whatever Marissa wants and like hearing her whine about like why or like anything. But going back to like asking how it felt, I don't think I like felt a lot of shame. I think it was just like further emphasizing like the fact of just like when you choose to be Christian, like you're different from the world. And like, that's truly like what I felt in that dynamic was just like, okay, I'm just like different from my family members. And like, that was just like weird, obviously, cause like they're your family, but it like furthered that notion and like got me really comfortable with that idea, like very early on. And I think it also just in my teenage years was paired with a lot of angst to where I just like felt a lot of frustration because I knew they were out like still proclaiming that they're like Christians and stuff, which like who knows? I couldn't tell you like still to this day about my dad and brother, but I was just like, but you're not, like you're living this like life in the world, and like you're not living like a Christian life of like what I knew it to be at that time. And so I was just like really angsty and like frustrated because I'm just like, there's so much like greatness in being what you're saying you are, but like you're not experiencing that. And so it's like a lot of that, like emphasizing that living for the Lord is going to set you apart and like make you different from others, even as close to you as family members. But then also like was just really frustrating of just like feeling that they were using this label that wasn't appropriate, I guess, in my eyes.
Yeah. No, totally understand that. I mean, it ain't nothing different than 2025 than any other time when that was either. I think a lot of people, labels are huge. That's just in general.
True.
Labels are huge. And I think we're very sensitive to labels. And we also pride ourselves in labels, which to me feels like an insane tension to live in, to where we're so understanding if someone labels themselves as something. We're frustrated with people when they label themselves as something. And then we try to empathize with people when they label themselves as something. And it's exhausting.
It's a lot to keep up with.
It's a lot to keep up with, because now instead of just seeing something for how it is, you're trying to rotate through this rotation in your head of what emotion I'm about to give to this person based on the label that they put on themselves and based on what it is. And especially when you talk about Christians living a certain way, like one thing I always think about that's become reality for me over time is safe, like trying to live the Christian life as safe as possible versus actually living what the Bible says. And it's man, it's hard. It's very difficult. I remember when I was in college, the one thing that I didn't pride myself on because it was just how I was. Like, obviously you knew how I was in high school. I hated doing what everyone else would do. Like I just literally did not.
Enneagram 4 to your core.
Enneagram 4 to my core. That's what it was.
From birth.
from birth, literally. I hated doing what everyone else did. I didn't want to, but I also wanted to do everything.
Right.
And so
I did
do a lot. So doing a lot of different things always put me in a space of like, I never have to like conform to one thing. I can be like, I played all these sports. I did intramurals. I played video games. I can connect with every single person. Like I'm good. It helped because I moved around so much. So I wanted to do that, but also like I can never sit still in just one space. But whenever I started like doing orientation and everything, I'll never forget. There was one time everyone knew that like I would get growing up like, oh, you're gonna be a youth pastor. You're gonna be a pastor. Like you're just a goody two shoe. Cam does everything. You're the favorite. Yada yada. I always hear all that stuff while growing up, and I would just be like, bruh, I ain't saying none of this. Y'all saying it. Right. I'm not just accepting this. But like, why y'all keep saying things like that? It's like I just don't want to do what everyone else is doing, and I also don't want to do the wrong thing. I'm a middle child, but also I'm the third of four. And my sister, Hannah, is 4 years younger than me. And my older sister's 4.5 years older than me. So, like, I'm really by myself, like, in an island. So, I just got to see my siblings do stuff and be like, I ain't doing that. And then I just got to see how my sister act. My little sister, I'm like, I ain't doing that either. So, I'm like, I'm good. So, I'm just like, let me just do the right thing. But whenever I got to orientation, like, everyone knew, like, I was in church. I was doing a lot of stuff. I just wanted to make the most of my time at Sam and then keep it moving. But I'll never forget, we set up for the orientation day the Wednesday before the Thursday happens. Because orientation when I was doing it was Thursday and Friday. It was always an overnight thing. And so Wednesday night we do our setup and load in and all those things like that. And then we just hang out until like 10 o'clock at night because the next night we have to be up at like 5 a.m. in the morning ready to like be in orange polos running around the school with energy for freshmen that are like incoming freshmen. And I remember they were having like this debate about like dating and doing a lot of other stuff in dating and just a bunch of stuff that was just like for the conversation, some things were inappropriate, some things were not, but they were just having this super open conversation. Everyone's kind of delusional because we've just been like going nonstop for so many orientation sessions. Like, and so we're there, and I walked in and they're like, hey, stop talking about it. Cam walked in.
Oh, no way.
And it was a completely different thing because they just like censored whatever they were talking about because I walked in the room.
Yeah.
And at first I'm like, oh, it's pretty respectful. Like, cool. Like, that's awesome.
Right.
But as I've grown older, I'm like, man, it was, did I set a precedent that like, I just don't, because I never told him I didn't want to talk about these things or I wasn't open to talking about these things because the things you're talking about are real things. But at 20 years old, it was just like, similar to what you said, like, oh, so-and-so blank. And I didn't even rant or anything like that. Like tell them like, I don't want to listen to stuff like I'm closing my ears. How dare this person cuss? Like I wasn't like that at all. It wasn't super legalistic. It was just, they just censored it because they're like, I don't know if it was a Cam's pure, don't tell him anything. I really don't know. But it just kind of put the spin of like, when I look back on that, even this moment now and prior of the difference between surface level Christianity, which a lot of them that were in the room did consider themselves, and it wasn't like what they were talking about was like naturally a sin, but the stuff they were talking about, what they were going to do was the sin. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Yeah. The thought started it. I'll tell you that much. And it's like, and it's going to lead into all this other stuff. But a lot of what, some of them, not all of them, but some of them was more safe surface level. I call myself this. I grew up in church, did these things, but I'm talking about what I'm about to do after the last orientation session when I go to the club or whatever else. And the stuff I'm going to do after that. And it's like, whoa. And I wouldn't participate. Like if they all went out, like I'm not participating. I'm just going to chill play video games or go hang out with Cheyenne if she was in town. So that's literally what it was. And then as time went on, I'm like, the things that I just wouldn't want to talk about or that I wasn't comfortable talking about are real things in our culture today. So I have to take a moment in my Christian walk today, like I have to acknowledge that the things are real, but I also have to live in the tension that I am set apart and that I have to live a certain way, which is difficult when you're trying to live in what I consider is like the intersection between culture and Christianity, where you're trying to be in the world, not of it, but because I'm naturally in the world.
Right.
But I'm also trying to live for the kingdom at the same time. And when that's happening, it becomes this weird tension. And you mentioned like the highs and lows that happen. It's a very difficult thing to do because you're living in the intersection. And for a 16-year-old to live in this intersection is very difficult. And then as you transition to like when you're at OU and then even now, like you can kind of see this, some of the things in your story of like things that are leaning more towards like, no, I really just want to live for how God wants me to live. But how has that been in like first time in adulthood, second time in adulthood, living in that intersection, like even up to this point now from where it was before, like teen Marissa into wilding out in the world, Marissa in college and doing all this, trying to figure everything out to like adulthood to now, like what does that intersection look like between trying to live in the world, be around friends and things, but also trying to really stay set apart and really live out your walk?
Loaded question there.
I ask deep questions.
Yeah, I think, especially what like just immediately comes to mind is just a lot of my time at OU. It's just like, again, I had a very strong like Christian community, like from the get. Like I met most of them within like the first semester of my freshman year.
Oh, cool.
And they're like a sweet group of girls that like I'm still really close to, like to this day. And I remember like I had this summer going into my freshman year of college, I did work crew at that same camp that like I became like a Christianette and
a Christianette?
A Christianette. Oh. The same camp I became a Christian. I thought
you said a Christianette, like you know, like, they have the Rangerettes or something. Like, I'm a Christianette. I'm a Christianette. Like, what is that?
A Christian cadet.
There you go. I was a high stepper for the Lord. It's like, what is that? I was like, okay.
You don't know about that?
I don't want to know about that.
They're not like us.
They literally not like us. But you said, what was it? A Christian what?
The same camp I became a Christian at.
Okay, Christian at the camp. You came. Okay, I got it. We're good. We're good. I got it.
Back to the point. And so I like came off that camp high, like going into college, met that solid group of friends, like barely a month into college. Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, I just want to live like the college life, obviously. Yeah. Like Ragers.
Rager is crazy.
And I just like remember going to like a college party. I'm like, this just isn't it. Like, This is not the vibe. And like I like left it and then like went to like a couple other like not Christian. I went to another like college parties like throughout like my freshman year. And like never really like drank in excess like that or like partook in a lot of the activities that were going on. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like that kind of like formulated that, like you said, intersection of like culture and Christianity of just like being in those environments. Like, yeah, I chose to do that. Obviously, like that wasn't against my will or anything, but then like also still like being set apart in those environments of like, you can still like enjoy this time with your friends. You can still like listen to music, dance your heart out and like stay up late if like that's what you're wanting to do, if that's the energy. But also like, that doesn't mean you have to like dive head first into the world and like be wrapped up in all of the like alcoholism, like drug use, like physical interactions with others. Like, and like, I think throughout like those experiences and even like now of like going to like my friends like bachelorette parties and they're like wanting to like do everything, like go rage in like Tulum and like all this stuff, like to like be able to still like be in those situations and just like know your own limits of like, this is what like I'm called to do and like how I'm called to live. And like if that's like showing that set apart like lifestyle to someone in like a club in Mexico or something, like then so be it. Like, you know, there's crazier ways that the gospel's been shared 100%. And like crazier ways that the Lord's love has been displayed. And so I think like that's kind of like where I've come to know like through those experiences of like both can exist, but like it's just knowing where that line is for you specifically. Because like I do have like friends too that have like a history of like alcoholism or like addiction and like that runs in some people's families. And like if you are put in those situations, like you have a lot like shorter threshold or like things like that. And so like I think it just comes with awareness of yourself too.
Yeah, I agree.
Of what that intersection looks like for you.
I totally agree. I don't remember what, I literally just read it. How about my Bible? I have to see if it's in here. My Bible. Paul, I don't remember what, because I literally just read through all, and sometimes I read through everything, and because I'm still in school, everything just becomes a blur so quickly.
You read so much.
I do read a lot, but I'm also like, I understand why people who be getting advanced degrees be like, I don't know what yesterday I did. Like more recently, like before I could be like, I know what I did this past. Now, I'm getting old, unfortunately. But I think partially it's because I'm just engaging in so much information. And be like, how was your weekend? I was like, I don't know what I did Saturday. The kids were there. My wife was there. I was there. I think Shine was there with the kids. I hope so. I'm gonna see if I can find it on my phone because I can't remember the actual scripture. But Paul talks about consciousness, and let me see if I can find it. But he talks about consciousness and knowing, like, oh my gosh, phone. Knowing your boundaries and knowing your limits. There's a lot of gray space in a lot of things. There's a lot of things that you mentioned. There's a lot of gray space when it comes like certain things that people do. And then a lot of times we see Christians, whether it's on social media or anything, have arguments about, well, I believe this and I believe that, and we do this and we do that. And it's like, there's a lot of like just gray space along a lot of topics. And in those gray spaces, you have to know 100% like who you're around, who you're leading, friends that you have, know your boundaries, not because you don't like the other person, not because you don't want to just not be friends with them or not connect with them in any way, shape, or form. But you're also like, I know my limits and I don't want to ever confuse anybody.
Right.
Because confusing people, one way I say is one of the worst things we can do to other believers. Is just like confuse them. And I know for Shine and I, through like campus ministries that we're in and other things that we're in, like we've experienced confusion. I can't find it. If I find it later or if it comes back, Holy Spirit brings it back, then I will go to it. So,
but I think like the Holy Spirit does that sometimes. But like you said, like confusion's really bad for believers. And I think it's even worse for non-believers.
100%.
Because like, they're like, oh, well, we see you go in like church and brunch every Sunday, but like you're also going with your eyes bloodshot because you're hungover from like the day before, or like things like that, or like, oh, like you're going home with like a different guy or like girl, and you're still like a Bible study leader or like things like that. You know, like it's even worse for non-believers because they're just like, how are you doing both?
Literally, how are you doing both? Yeah. Though I've had to, and it's crazy because it's different for every single person. It doesn't, I think we easily tier list sin. Someone committed adultery. You're a terrible human being. You're a terrible sinner. Like, we'll just like, that's like S tier. Don't do that. Don't cheat. Right. And then we can put like alcoholism, and you can put like, the list goes on, like money laundering. Like, don't do that. Like, you just go like through all these different things, and we can tier it. God sees it the same. Sin is sin. Like it is, you did what you did. But we as humans can so easily put them in ranking order. Like I might do blank, but like I don't cheat though. Right. And it's like, that doesn't change.
Like, yeah, I lie to my girlfriend, but it's not like I'm murdering someone.
Yeah. It's like, that's not how it works. And I would think like, grow up, read the 10 Commandments, and you're like, oh, I don't do none of those. Like, I'm good. The 10, I don't do. I don't do none of, like, that's when I kill. Like, I'm good. I ain't do that. Right. Like, I'm not doing that. So you look at those and you're like, I'm not doing any of those, so I'm good. But then when you start getting to like a lot of the, when you think about the fruits of the Spirit, or you start getting into a lot of the nitty gritty of all the eternal things, the things that are just anti like God, like that are not of Him, and you're like, yeah, but you struggle with pride. And it's like, that's crazy. I didn't know I struggled with. Yeah, it's like, I didn't know I struggled with control, and like, and I'm just like, some people are like, you're just not a kind person. You're just really mean. Like, you're ugly to every person, and you're not showing love. And I had to get a completely different perspective, because growing up, I'm like, oh, these are the sins. Like, if I'm gonna like, don't do blank. Like, honor your parents. Like, okay, cool, I'm gonna do that. Like, I'll just do these things and I'm good. But you think about the fulfillment of the law, that Jesus fulfilled the law. And then He gave the two most important commandments: love God with our heart, mind, soul, and then love your neighbor as yourself. It's like, what does that actually look like? And what is it like practically? And if I'm just not displaying the fruit of the Spirit, or just being a kind person, or gentle with someone, or like showing love, like, or displaying joy, like those things, if I'm just not doing it, then I'm not discipling people well. And I'm just not living for Christ the best way I possibly can. And my perspective completely shifted, because knowing that I lead people not only at work, but even when I work for a church, on a given Sunday, doing groups, things of that nature. Like, if I choose to, it's not just the big things, but if I were to tell someone something and then not have any integrity whatsoever. Right. If I were to say my gosh, I love Cheyenne so much, he's amazing, and that wasn't the case, and you talk to Cheyenne and she's like, no, like, that's not how it was at all. Like, I'm not living with as much integrity, and I'm actually like anti of like her being my bride, and like actually taking care of her as like Jesus takes care of the church. Like, I'm not sacrificing enough to do that. So that in the same way can confuse other people, especially if I am telling people like, yeah, do this when you're dating, and do this when you get married, and then I go do something completely different. Right. And it starts to confuse people.
To break it or goal.
And to do that with believers, it's one thing, because sometimes they can filter it. Maybe they're not. Maybe they just get angry or frustrated with me, and I create a bad rap for my name. But for someone that's unbeliever, it's like, oh man, Like I'm ruining an opportunity and experience that they have to, not that they couldn't experience Christ, but just to hear it.
Yeah.
To actually not have a wall before they actually experience something. So when seeds are being planted or things are being watered, like they don't actually hear anything. I'll put it down because I can't find it. But essentially, Paul was talking about like just consciousness and like confusion and making sure like what your conscience tells you, like that's what you need to do. So you have to be mindful of when we're living in these gray spaces, be mindful of what we're doing and how we're doing it and who's watching us while we do it.
Right.
Because if not, we will ultimately confuse people, and that's not a place we want to be because we're trying to help people and disciple people into it. Did you ever feel like any point in your life that there were, I guess, people in your life that, or did you, I guess, have any confusion or anything as you were growing up? Or feel like there was any point in your life when you were going back and forth, like, I could be really showing something completely different? Because obviously right now it truly seems like you're like, I'm trying to do this thing like the best way I possibly can, but it take time. Like we're in our 20s, we're still figuring out so much, and we're still trying to do it. And obviously with work, and you're trying to do it, you work in what you do now with speech and all that. Like there's a lot, and you mentioned like some of the new endeavors you're wanting to do. Those are like high stake environments, different cities, different things that you're going to be experiencing. Have you even thought about the anticipation of what that's going to look like as you continue your career into other fields, or even to the point of like at church and things now?
Yeah, I think right now it's working like at the hospital that I'm at. Like thankfully, our speech department like isn't that big, and the two coworkers that I'm closest to, like they are Christians, and so like that's been really helpful and like really supportive, to where like a lot of the culture in hospitals is like really petty and like very like gossipy and like, oh my gosh, like this nurse did this, or like, wow, oh my gosh, like this PT is talking to this or some, like, and then they like all go out like every shift and like get drinks and like Lord knows what happens there. But it's like very petty, very chatty, very like surface level, and like everyone's one way to your face, and then like we'll be talking about you in a completely different manner to like someone else. And so not necessarily the best culture to be in, but then like thankfully I have those two coworkers that I'm able to like ground myself in and like,
for sure, just
confide in. And I'm like very much so like the employee, I guess, that like just goes in, does her job, and get out. Like I don't really like stop to have a lot of conversations in the halls, or like do like the water cooler chat or anything. But I think a lot of people have like noticed that and like don't try to tell me any gossip or anything. Cause like I remember the first time a therapist tried to tell me like, oh yeah, this therapist, I'm just like, I'll make my own opinion about that. And like that like shut them down. They're like, oh, okay. And then like another therapist like was like, oh yeah, this one doesn't like treat these people because of XYZ, I think. And like she's like blah blah blah.
Like
whatever.
talking about other therapists, talking about other therapists. And I had
just started at this job at this point, and so like they're like trying to.
Therapist gossip is crazy.
It's insane.
That's insane.
And I was just like, oh okay, well I haven't interacted with her, but like I'll get to know her on my own time or whatever. And so like I wouldn't like feed into those conversations, and they definitely like picked up on that fast, because now a lot of them don't talk to me. But
they're not my friends.
I know. I'm like, I'm just trying to do my job. I'm here for my patients. I'm not here to like give you my ear. Along with like, I don't want those like negative things to be in my head throughout the day, or like in my head whenever I'm interacting with those people. But as far as like my future endeavor goes, I'm honestly a little scared about it. 'Cause I moved back to Houston in 2019, been here since it's now 2025, so 6 years.
Yeah.
And like throughout those 6 years, I have been like very intentional in like cultivating my community, like through my church, through like my friends, and through that, like right now, I feel like I'm peaking in like my community. Like it is so solid, it is so good.
Yeah.
Like even this week, I've been like kind of like conflicted with this like big question that I have been like wondering and like been praying over. And then like today, I like mentioned we did like a pickleball tournament. Like I got two of the adults in my community group that I lead with I like pulled them aside and we were like just talking. And I was like, hey guys, like I'm really like just need your counsel on this like question. Like what is your like biblical knowledge around this? And like what would you like tell me as guidance in this situation? And like I like Marissa, like maybe even last year would be like, who do you think you are talking about this at a pickleball tournament? Like I'd be like, I need to sit them down. It needs to be a quiet place. Like I need to set the scene. Like it has to be like serious as the conversation is. And like in reality, like was waiting for a time that was never going to happen. And I was like using that as like a scapegoat to not like have or prompt that conversation. And like now I'm like very open to it.
That's good.
Even like if I didn't know them as well as I do, but, with that being said, like I am planning on like leaving at the end of the year, and like be-boo bopping around, like
bopping around cities, everywhere.
Different cities for at least like a year or two. And like a lot of the cities that I have listed as like my tops aren't in the Bible Belt and are known to not be very Christian or like Christ centered, with like providing great communities or even have like a lot of churches, in those areas. And so I'm very scared about that. And like, thankfully I've voiced that to a lot of friends and there was like, what do you mean? Like every time you move to a new city, I'm gonna go visit you. And like, we're going to FaceTime you into our Bible studies and like all of this. And like, who knows what will actually be feasible and like what the logistics of everything are. But like just them prompting that thought and like prompting that action. And like, even like thinking about it, let alone trying to do it. I'm just like, okay, like I know just like because I'm not physically close, like this community still isn't going anywhere. And so that's been reassuring.
That's cool.
For the future, at least. That's still really very cool. Scared, but we're called to not be comfortable.
Obedience is, what's obedience if you ain't gonna do it scared? Like it's okay, you do it, just do it scared, just go out and do it. Well, I think that's really cool that I just noticed that it's really cool having these conversations, because it's when we were in high school, we didn't have no responsibility whatsoever besides like schoolwork and just having fun and stuff. But one thing that's really cool, and I really do appreciate you sharing all this and being open about it a lot too, is one, getting to have this conversation because it's so different. I know you and Cheyenne, y'all talk about things and books and all the stuff that y'all do, but like being able to have this conversation of like not knowing half of this stuff that just happened in your life is one thing. Like, this is crazy, but also like seeing the difference, because there's only so much of, because I think we still like chatted and talked in college like every now and then. But it wasn't like, it was like, hey, happy birthday, or like, hey, what's up? Like, how's life? And it was like that conversation. Because I mean, like junior, senior year, like that time frame, we were closer as friends and everything. But like, again, we just don't have these. We're not mature enough to just have these conversations. We're not sitting there like
unprompted.
Yeah, it's not like we're sitting going to Whataburger at like 12 o'clock and I'm like, so tell me about like Christian and culture. Like, tell me about the intersection. Like, let's talk about that. Like, we're not doing that. We're talking about like, we're talking about sports and the football game. And I don't know, I was telling someone at work,
you're gonna ask for homecoming and like prom and all that.
All this stuff like that. It's like, that's what we're worried about. But it just shows how different adulthood is and seeing how everyone processes it differently. So one, it's really cool. I just want to tell you thank you. Like, and it's really cool to see like how you just navigated everything, like just everything in life, like ups and downs, really trying to find your own journey. Cause I think that's the coolest part, is like, we all find our own journey. I think throughout our life, we really get to a point, like we grew up in a huge suburb, like there's a lot of people.
It's even bigger now.
It's way bigger than it was before. We had a lot of people in our high school. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of things to do and get involved in. And then everyone kind of just disperses and you kind of just forget, like, dang, we did have dang near 4,000 people in our high school. It's like, you just kind of forget about everyone, that it was even like this insane town of a high school. Like, just the high school was a town. There's 5,000 people, including the teachers. Like, there's a lot of people here. You kind of forget about all that, and then you just navigate through life. And one thing that's been really cool that I've heard throughout your story, I think that one, I'm gonna love to see what that looks like, because a lot of times in your story you talked about being grounded, finding your own way into like your camp life, and we don't tell you finding a community. Like, you had a lot in your life of like finding a place, like actually going and finding a place and really asking God, like, I need people around me. I want to find this, like I need this. And it's really cool to see how like from literally like 14, 15-year-old Marissa to going through all the ups and downs to literally now of like, I'm about to take a step out.
Yeah.
First time ever doing this, like by myself as an adult into new cities that it's unknown territory. And it's going to be really cool to see how all the preparation of everything that's already happened is going to prepare you for what you're doing. And in my head, I'm just saying this like really cool connection of like, yeah, like I felt like I was the spiritual leader of my house. So like I wasn't, but I felt like it. I went here and I had like I'm really trying to set myself apart. Like I still have friends and do that. And I think that's going to be so beneficial for you whenever you move to a lot of these new places. Like I moved around a lot. Like I know you travel a lot, but I moved and had to live in a place for a lot of different places. Different. And I didn't have the groundwork of like where I'm at now in those places. I'm just like, I just don't want to do what everyone else is doing. Like they're going to do something. I don't want to do it. Like I'll hoop with y'all, but like I'm not going to hang out with you. I'm going to go play video games or go hang out with my family, whatever I do. Yeah. Like, so I had that, but I think that was just something that innocence God placed on me that I just didn't want to disappoint him or my parents. So that's how I lived, but it wasn't like a consciousness of like, this is why I'm doing it. To see like your journey from one, already taking a step out of something, going in 8th grade from Catholicism, it seems like God has placed you on this journey of like, Marissa has to step out. Marissa has to step out. Marissa has to step out. I got you rooted. I got you planted. I'm gonna put people around you. Step out again. All right. I'll put people, step out again, step out again, step out again. And now that the fact in your life now, you're like, all right, well, I feel like I need to go step out and I'm gonna go move. Yeah, I'm about to jump out. I'm about to move here and move there. I'm just really excited. And I know that because God's already had his hand on your life of just helping you get to the place you are, making sure you didn't like go off the deep end. Like, may have like tapped your foot in the deep end. You're like, this is kind of crazy. It's cool. But like, it wasn't like this full indulgence.
You never touched the butt.
Yeah. Didn't touch the butt. It was never this full indulgence of, like, God, I'm out of here. Like, I know I need to be here. I know I'm still figuring it out, but I got it. And the fact that like up to this point now, 28, you're like, I'm about to step out again. But I truly think with all the connections, like God's led you back to a place to always like every single thing you've talked about. He's led you back to a place of like, back to him. It's like, I went and did this, but it's like back to him. I went to a party, like, this ain't it. I went to do this, like hang out with these people. That's not it. Like every time you've gotten to a place of what would be temporary fulfillment, you're like, this is not it. And the fact that you're about to step out into territory that's not what you're used to, not Houston, not the Bible Belt, you're gonna have the opportunity to go into things like, this is not it. But God's gonna be like, it's okay. Like I got you. Like you may be here for 3-4 months. I got you. Watch what I do. Next place, I got you. Next place, got you. And then you get to go and fulfill like the fact that you can go into work, clock, and do what you need to do, and just have the strength to be like, I'm not going to do the stuff that's going to hurt other people. One, again, goes back to what I said at the beginning, shows your heart for people, which is really amazing. To really have a heart for people, to really not want people to do the wrong thing. It's an amazing thing. Definitely keep that. It's going to do a lot of great things for you. And then also I think it's just going to be one of the greatest characteristic traits is going to make you do amazing work no matter where you go. Because you can't go to any new place single by yourself and trying to venture out and not know what community and things is going to look like and not be able to have a strong conscience and a strong mind and a strong will, and also know who you want to please as in God. And you can't go, I just don't think you can go anywhere by yourself without having some type of faith and will to be able to like, this is who I am, an identity of like who I am, who I find myself in, and be able to go to a place and not just get ripped to shreds. Like there is no way you can go anywhere and not, because it's new territory, new place. Yes, I'm here to do a certain work, but it does take a certain build, like something to be built up on the inside of somebody to be able to go do that. And I truly think with just your story in general, I think like God's been building that up. And now the fact that at this point in your life, like, I'm gonna go do it. It's like you have every tool possible to go do it. And I just truly think like your care and heart for people stems out of one, how much you just care for people, out of how God's cared for you this whole life, because you didn't have to be where you're at. Like you could have just been, I don't know, doing something wild. You could have still been in Oklahoma just wilding out. You could have been doing so many other things, but the fact that like you've kept your mind in a place of like, this is where I'm at, this is what I want to do, I'm good. I just want to please the heart of God, and I want to help people. It makes the journey really cool, and it makes you get to a point where you can enjoy it. And out of the enjoyment, that's when things start progressing in a completely different way, because you're not worried about like, who am I going to marry and when am I going to do this and kids and all that stuff, and it just happens. And I think that's going to be a really cool journey for you to walk in over the next couple of years, which is going to be really cool to see.
Lord willing, we'll see.
It's going to be cool.
Trusting him with the wheel. So, but yeah, we'll see how it all goes. And I think I wouldn't have like come to this place of like being so open to like completely uprooting my entire life and moving to a new place every 3 to 4 months.
Yeah.
If I didn't feel like that security and who I am, like as a person that he's like made me to be, and like the security and what I want my life to look like and what I want to like achieve and like what purpose I'm fulfilling.
Yeah.
So
no, that's really cool, man. That's awesome. I don't know. Do you have anything else you wanted to chat? Anything else on your mind or anything like that?
Remember when you had blonde hair?
Bruh. Let's go and I was literally talking to someone. Shine and I were talking in the car because we had our marriage class and it was about conflict, which is always a great thing because Shine and I both have we're just both very strong-willed. And we were talking about, what did we get to? We got to some point. It was when we had the thing about conflict, but we got into, it wasn't a big argument or small. It was just like we were just bickering back and forth. I saw these glasses and I've always had these glasses, like, even when I was in high school, I had these glasses, but they were just bigger.
Yeah. Your grandpa ones.
Literally the grandpa glasses. Got them from Walmart. And now I have these, and they're smaller frame. They fit my face better and much more. But I've had these glasses like 2020. Like, I'll just keep getting the same one every time I'm about to renew my eye exam. I'm going to get the same ones again. But I saw these other frames, and they're like a octagon frame. And Tyler, the Creator, was wearing them. And I was like, I can pull these off. I know I can pull these off. And I showed China, I was like, you think I pull these off? And she's like, no. And I'm like, okay, what? It's like offended. And she's like, in my opinion, no. I was like, that's not what you're supposed to say. That's like, you're supposed to say, yeah, I care about you can pull off anything. I've seen you love fashion. I'm like, that's what you're supposed to say. But it got into this thing. And she's like, I don't have to. And I was like, yeah, you have your own opinion. And she's like, the reason I don't say like, do it because you're going to end up doing it anyway. I was like, you right? I was like, I'm fine. Right? It's like, it didn't start me first. And we got to the point where I was like, she's like, Cam, I know you. She's like, yes, obviously I know you can pull off a lot of things. Like, I loved you for you. I was like, yeah, you loved me when I had my blonde hair in college. And she's like, I had to learn to love you. I was like, that's not the right thing to say. That is not the right thing to say. But she said that, and it was just funny because I just instantly thought about like, yeah, I did have blonde hair back in the day, back in the Gap. I had it for her.
Remember when you wore Sperry's every day? Oh my God. Bring them back.
Things that happen to a black kid moving to a suburban area. You start wearing Sperry's and Vineyard Vines. And I didn't even wear Vineyard Vines or Southern. But I was like, $30 for a shirt? You got me tripping. I'm going to Forever 21. That's what I'm about to do. But no, like, yeah, Sperry's. I was talking to somebody recently. I think it was a friend Riley. I don't know. We were talking about like just like trends because she was in high school at the same time we were. She was just in Katy. But I was like, yeah, Sperry's and Elite socks. What a combo.
Truly.
We were a combo. Oh, it was at work. We were going back through like the Swagger era and like the 2000s and white tees and Sean John and Echo and big Osiris's and what is it? The DC shoes, the chunky ones.
Yeah, the like I Heart Babies
bracelets, the glasses with the lines in it.
Yes, the Kanye glasses.
Yeah, those like that was an era within itself. And then my brother and sister were heavily in that because they were in high school. And then when we got into high school, I can't remember like Sperry's and literally
it was
like
super preppy.
It was very preppy
because we were in Cyprus.
I think it had to be.
Like, I don't feel like people in Montana.
Out of all the states, it's like Montana, Wyoming, Delaware, Rhode Island.
They weren't repping the Sperry's.
They couldn't have been.
Elites.
Well, I couldn't say the East Coast was because it's like Martha's Vineyard, all that. Like the East Coast had to been rocking Sperry's.
Well, yeah, that's like Vineyard Vines.
The West Coast, they were not walking. They were.
Ain't no way.
They were not.
they
were crib walking in Sperry's and Elite socks. They couldn't. So I was like, yeah, Sperry's Elite socks. Very preppy. Vineyard Vines.
Yeah.
Comfort color shirts. Everything was comfort colors.
Everything was comfort
We
colors.
only wore
with
pastels. Nike shorts, the dry fit shorts. Every girl wore at least a double XL shirt. Staple.
Yes.
I don't even know if you did, but that was everyone and their mom. Dry fit shorts, double XL shorts.
Yeah,
Like,
if you can tell they're wearing shorts, they're not. The shirt's not big enough.
That shirt's not big enough. It's like,
not right.
It's like just all leg. You're like, is that appropriate for school? Nah.
The rectangle of a square. Legs.
Legs. Legs, literally. Giant t-shirt, legs.
Looking like stick figures.
Literally. And there's like what?
The side part.
Oh, yuck. I think Cheyenne had a side part. I'm surprised she hasn't came out here.
I for sure have a huge side part.
Cheyenne? I wonder if she's here. Yeah, she had a side part.
The feathers in your hair.
Gross.
You remember that? Oh my gosh.
That was a whole thing. That's bad.
That was like more middle school though.
With the hat? The feather? Did they have the hat too? Was there a hat? Or am I thinking something crazy? I feel like anytime I think about middle school, I think of Disney Channel. I think of just capris and shirts.
We had in elementary school, we had the Bermuda shorts.
Oh, speaking of Bermuda shorts, in middle school, you're like, oh, in middle school, I had an outfit. I had in multiple colors.
The same outfit.
It's the same exact outfit, but in multiple colors. And it was by Sean John. And Sean John originally just had the big bulky jeans and all that stuff like that.
Yeah.
But they came out like neon pastel like things. So I had a bunch of different colors. Like I had a blue one. Right. I had like a lime green. I had like an orange one. And it was like solid polo with the Sean John logo and then the Bermuda shorts. And it was a matching set. Like you had to get it together.
You have to.
Because why not? Because it's the same era that like.
You can't pull it off with anything else.
You can't. This is the same era where like Ralph Lauren is super popular. Like the big three. Like we're in that area. And people wore the Ralph Lauren boots.
Yeah. Like
that's what this era was. So if you couldn't afford Ralph Lauren, like I ain't paying $56 for a polo. So I'm going to get the Sean John for like 20 with the matching shorts for 20. Right. And we're going to call it a day.
Deal. Yeah.
And so I would wear that like almost every day. And this is before my older sister's a huge reason. Megan is a huge reason why I'm into fashion. Like she's a huge reason. But before I was like, I'll just throw on whatever tennis shoes I want. I'll put the lime green with the lime green and we gonna go to school. And that's what we're gonna do. And that's just what it was. But I remember it was back to school and they're like, no, you need to you gotta upgrade. Like the stuff that's trendy, like that's on MTV, it's like everyone jerking now. So like we gotta get you to PacSun. So I was like,
PacSun, change the game.
Yeah, so I'm like this is and I think this is a big shift when PacSun went from only surfer to what is trendy. Like this is when they started stepping into streetwear because PacSun it was always surfer.
Yeah, and just swimsuits and cover ups. And,
correct.
Surfing things. Yeah.
And I just feel like during the jerking era, they just shifted to we're going what's trendy. And so we went to PacSun. I remember I walked in and the way PacSun looked, there was like a wall and had all these skinny jeans and Kool-Aid Man, SpongeBob shirts and stuff. Yes. And everything was bright colors. And I was like, what is this? And the mom was like, we're gonna get you some jeans. It's the first time I got skinny jeans. We got I got 3-4 pairs of Vans. I got Kool-Aid Man shirt and SpongeBob shirt. I got all these different things. And I'm like prime jerking era. I go to school, I'm like, these jeans are way too skinny. First off, so I was like, we got to take these back. But I got jeans. I just went up a size. So I had green and red. And I'm I'm invested in this jerking era.
It was the emo version of PacSun.
Hot Topic.
Yes.
The raw era. My brother and sister were in that thing.
Yeah. Oh my god.
If you weren't a raw, you're jerking. So we were doing one of the two. And then you were the swagger, so you were wearing the hats with the I Heart Ruby bracelets and stuff. It's you fit in one of these molds, but they were very broad. It's either everyone was wearing all black or the brightest colors. There was nothing in between. It's you got the kids wearing all black. You got the kids that wearing red, green, orange, every color of the red. Every color of the rainbow. You're what is going on? This makes no sense.
Pick a side.
Literally pick a side. Literally, because that's the same time Twilight's out. See all the vampire very pet. Yes. It was this is what a time. Harry Potter, the books and movies were coming out. So that was a time, but that was the first time. Literally for the Christians, Chronicles of Narnia. We ain't got no merch, but we got a cool lion though. What is it? What was it? Asmate? No, it was Aslan. Yeah, we literally watched Chronicles of Narnia. We watched a couple of them. I was like, dang, that red man really was Jesus. It's he really out here. The older it hits different when you're older.
Oh my gosh, I just started rewatching them. We're doing it with some of the kids of the couples that are in my Bible study group.
Nice.
Like, we were like watching all of them like every Friday night, and I was like, these hit. These are deep.
These
like the
movies hit
Beavers or
different.
John the Baptist.
Literally,
Like, that's crazy.
that man died.
Oh my god.
That man, but he a beaver.
Aslan,
That beaver
right
died.
on the cornerstone.
Oh yeah, the
Stop.
fact that he's like, I must do what I got to do. I was like, he's gonna crucify. He's gonna die, and then he dies, and he's like, and then he back. And you're raw.
And then like completely annihilates the Ice Queen. Oh my
and then
gosh,
even I don't know if you
iconic.
saw the second one. Did y'all watch the second one too, or just watch the first one?
We've only watched the first one
Okay,
so far.
okay.
But like
Then
we're working.
I'll
our way
recap
through.
you when you get to the second one, because we watched the second one. I was like, oh dang, this is even crazier.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah, it's been a minute, but oh my gosh, and I'm just like, wow, these kids don't even like grasp the magnitude.
Not even at all.
Like, how do you explain that to your kids? Of just like,
Man, we're not there
homeboy
yet.
died for you and like already chose you.
Yeah, I
and,
mean,
like,
we'll see. We're already starting to let them watch like a lot of old shows because they're just less stimulating. Like they watch Franklin and Little Bear and
Yeah.
Roly Poly Oly because they're not as
Giggles.
stimulating. Yeah, just like they're not super fast like the world is.
Right.
So it helps them slow down. So we watch those shows and it just calms them down. It's really cool. But yeah, we'll get to those movies and stuff like and really show them a lot of movies that we watched and it's really cool because you can start to see like a lot of movies. You start to see a lot of the connections. I know you said you didn't watch a lot of Marvel movies, but like literally Marvel, like I don't know if did you see Endgame and Infinity War? Did you see
that's the
those?
snapping one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you watched the second one after that one.
I doubt it.
You're like I just saw the snap and I was
I
you're
just
like,
saw the
I just left on the biggest
And
hip
then
click.
Tom Holland died, so I'm
Yeah,
like,
you're
I'm
like,
out.
yeah, you're like I left on the biggest cliffhanger of like all the Marvel
Or no,
movies.
not
like,
Tom Holland. Iron Man.
oh, so you did see the
who
second one?
vanished?
You did see the second one? No, Tom
they
Holland did
vanished?
vanish.
Okay, yeah, yeah.
But you didn't see how they saved the world after?
No.
You literally left on the biggest cliffhanger of the
I
Marvel
was like, well,
series.
Tom Holland's gone. Me too. I'm gone.
You have a homework. You need to watch Endgame on Disney Plus. There is no way you saw the snap. Everyone disappeared. You're like, guess
That's
they're
a wrap.
done. That's it. There's only the Avengers are left. The 6 Avengers. Like that's it. That's it. Like
I think like
That's
I just
wild.
accepted that as like, all right, they're tired of making movies. Like this is it.
it was a
like,
2-part.
fact checks.
It
There's,
was
like
literally.
thousands of these.
It was literally a 2-part movie, and you said, I'm not going to part 2. I'm just going to skip it. That's bad. You're like, this is such a great movie. Like, I can't believe they lost. There's this video where it's a
Can't
Bible
believe
study.
they lost.
There's
No,
a
I
Bible study.
actually, now that you say that,
Are
I
you
remember. I'm like, wow, way to not be predictable. Like that was my thought at the end of the movie. I'm like, obviously they're gonna win, and like Thanos is gonna die, whatever. And then I saw the ending. I was like,
You're like,
wow, they got me.
They got me,
Like,
and you
they
decided,
really-
like, wow, they really changed
They
it. Like,
did the
they
plot
really
twist.
died. Like, it's really
they
over.
lost. That's never been
You
done.
never seen them win. You did not see them win at all. That's sad. You're like,
Oh,
obviously it's a Marvel
dang.
movie. They're gonna win. And you're just like, this was such a great first part. They lost. Like, I'm good. Like, they changed the script to every hero movie of all time. They really
No, truly, I'm like, wow, this has never been done before. Like, this is iconic.
No, the second after watching, you need to watch the second one because the second one is so emotional from the first one and how
Oh,
they win. You're
no.
just like, you have to watch it. But it reminds me of this video. This dude, I don't know if you know who Shama is. He does Christian comedy, and he did this video where they're at a Bible study, and they had a new believer in the group. And they're like, all right, everyone, we're going to go to the book, the end of whatever gospel. I don't know if it was John. Like, we're going to go to the end of John. And did everyone get a chance to read? Like, we're going to talk about like Jesus dying. And the guy who's like new to the class, he's like, wait, he died? Everyone's
Spoiler
like,
alert.
yeah, everyone's like, everyone knows that. He's like, I haven't read through the whole book yet. Like, I haven't gotten there. And everyone's like, everyone knows that Jesus died on the cross. And he's like, I haven't gotten to that part. He's like, what about John the Baptist? He's like going through all these characters. What about Peter? What about them?
Moses,
Yeah, he's like,
he's still
it's like,
alive.
what about them? He's like, bro, he's like, I just didn't know. He's like, that's a spoiler. Like, I don't know if I can read the whole book anymore. He's like, what? It's like, dude, what are you? Everyone knows this, and so it was hilarious. Like that's what I think about. You just didn't even attempt to continue. You're just like, yeah, they lost. They took an L. That's all I can think about. So you don't have anything in your brain about anything.
No, just stop right there. So you don't have anything in your brain.
Talk about no context. You're like, so you don't have anything in your brain. So you don't
now
think.
You just cut that part.
That's the whole podcast.
The whole video.
Some podcasts.
Marissa. So you don't have anything in your brain.
Some podcasts have like the little the viral clip before, and then it has like a little sound, and they cut it. It's just like that's the part. It's like, so you don't have anything in your brain. Cuts it. Welcome to the Stay Zealous Podcast. Everyone's like, what?
What?
So you don't have anything in your brain. You're just there. Did you watch SpongeBob growing up?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like SpongeBob's brain. Or like Patrick. It's just nothing going on. It's just a little brain. It's like, what is going on? So you don't have anything in your brain? You've been here talking the whole time. Yes, it's the monkey clanging symbols the whole time.
No, it's just ChatGPT.
It's just a processing everything. You're like,
giving you.
Chat, can you please help me find my brain? I don't know what I'm doing here.
What was the first stage of adulthood like?
Yeah, literally. Especially you as a speech pathologist. Someone's like, I need help. You're like, give me a second.
Beep boop bop.
Beep boop bop. That's all I do.
It's like I'm in.
Yeah, literally. Or the Disney Channel shows where they always have the one kid that's like, hacking the mainframe. Yeah. You're like, you ain't typing nothing.
Firewall, virus, malware.
Got through. I'm in. You're like, it's really that easy? It's like, I'm about to hack everybody. Everybody going down and nobody's safe. You're like, sometimes I've done that and I'm like, nothing happened. Put your own virus on your own computer. You're like,
oh my gosh, did you ever do MySpace?
I did not have a MySpace. We had the one desktop. Oh. And my brother and sister got dibs. So like, again, like because my sister's 4.5 years older than me, they both had a MySpace. I've seen them have MySpace. But they're my intro into like everything pop culture, like MTV, VHS, like not VHS, VH1, MySpace. Like by the time I was about to create a MySpace, because I didn't get an email address until 13. That was a huge deal.
Yeah.
These kids nowadays don't know.
What was your first email address?
The one I still use today, camoj10@yahoo.com. That's still my email address. Like if y'all want to email me, sure, do what you got to do. I mean, it's nothing crazy, but like it's my first
adult thing.
That email address.
Your connection to the world. That's your first.
Literally, that was the thing.
Connection.
That was my first connection. I guess emails are not really private things. So I can know my email, I guess. It's not the email that's connected to this. Yeah, just beep. Yeah, just bleep it. I probably talk so fast they probably don't even know what I said. But yeah, the 13 is when you get your first email. So that was a big deal. But by the time I got my first email, Facebook came out.
Facebook was already a thing, yeah.
And then you had to be 18 to have a Facebook. So I was 13 at 18. I was like, I'm 18. I can have one of these. So I didn't really jump back into MySpace at all. Oh, gotcha. But I know about it though. I see my brother and sisters.
See, like I was just gonna say, like when my brother had a MySpace, because I never really had one either. He like was coding it to where like he made like a playlist go off like as soon as you clicked on his like thing. Yeah. And then like he had like a cursor that had like a sword or something on it.
There's a lot of innovation.
And he, like, coded. Like you had to code all of that. Like it wasn't like a settings preference. Like I want my background color to be this. Like you had to like do all of that. And I'm like, that's why we have so many software engineers in our generation.
No, literally, because it's like I had to learn how to do this. Yeah. MySpace, you got to think even any game. Like my brother used to be LimeWire. Oh, like if they came out with something like that, like I was a producer, like or not a I was a DJ. Not a producer. I was a DJ, like, but then again, GarageBand.
High School Mixtape.
Like I did have a High School Mixtape. They don't know. I don't know what they don't know. But like but legit, I don't know. Maybe I should go in a career in music. Maybe not.
I think I like did see that for you at one point.
I think a lot of people did.
But also, again, you're the person that did everything.
I did do everything. I was in choir.
I could have seen you like do a music career. Could have seen you like become a professional athlete. Could have seen you be a youth pastor. Like
all in one.
Literally.
Like, this is my side gig. I got to preach on Wednesdays, but I also got to I got a game on Thursday. I got a game on Sunday, but I also got to drop this new album.
Doing all the things.
Well, and a youth pastor. I did do youth for a while. That was fun. Definitely not professional. And then like being
a model too.
Hey, I would do that. I would do that. I mean, I technically have modeled for some things.
Okay, flex.
Hey, I guess, I mean, I'm definitely not a professional athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's still time.
There is still time. Journey. I always think about those videos where people are like, journey to the NFL at 28. 20-year-old journey to the NFL starts on TikTok. It just blow up in followers.
Yeah.
It's like, and I actually don't make it. I made it, but I'm not in the NFL. I didn't play no game, but I made it.
And then professional gamer.
See, I
just
thought
need
about
a
streaming
Twitch.
before.
Or what is it? Flip?
Twitch, no, it's Twitch.
Oh, okay.
You're right. I did about streaming. I have like a capture card and stuff. I could stream games. Grand Theft Auto come out this year. I could stream that. The new Switch comes out. Like, you just never know. You never know a career can start.
Seeds are being planted right now.
Seeds are being planted
This is
right now.
documented.
This is document.
There we go.
Am I going to be a streamer in 2025? The world may tell. As of right now, this podcast, we going to work on this podcast and blow
On
this
our
thing up.
manifestation board.
Like,
Predictions of 2025.
Predictions of 2025. Now, the cool thing is that, like, this, obviously, I could do live stuff with this. Like, that could be streaming.
Yeah.
So it could be a possibility. We'll find out. We'll truly find out. But yeah.
Along for the ride.
Along for
Staying
the ride.
tuned.
Stay tuned. Well, you're going to be along for the ride traveling across the world. So do what you got to do.
You'll be along for my ride too, though.
There you go. I'm here.
Mainly Cheyenne. But
Mainly
you too.
Cheyenne. Obviously, I'm married to her, which is so funny. It was like, oh, like seeing Cheyenne. She's like, oh yeah, I'm texting Marissa. I'm like, this is so weird.
What?
It's not like weird,
Yeah.
but like obviously, like we did pageants, like Mrs. High Woods.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that was so fun.
We started getting to like the nitty gritty of high school. Then it'd be like, oh, this is kind of weird. But like,
I guess.
I don't know. It's just different.
Yeah.
It's different. It's one thing because I know like we talked about some of the like other friends. Because like from a guy perspective, I'm still friends with the guys, and then we just all merged together, and they
Right.
all got married, and then that. But it's a completely different thing to like a relationship to resurface, but it's not by me because I was friends with you first. It's literally because like now Cheyenne. It was partially because yes, I knew you
Yeah.
already, but like now it's like Cheyenne. Like y'all text, talk about books and all that
Right.
stuff like that. Like even when you came over, it's like I was moving the car, but even when you came over. When you were trying to talk and y'all talking about just like all this stuff that y'all been texting about and everything, I'm like, this is crazy. This is actually crazy because like dang near 13 years ago, we were trying about whatever we were talking about then, and then flash forward, it's different now, but it's still cool and I still appreciate it. And I'm always for it because I think at the end of the day, Shine and I being one, just being married and everything, we're always open.
Right.
I think the more that our friends can mesh well, whether on either end, I'm all for it. And y'all cool, I'm cool. I'm just chilling. I'm here. So, well,
It's a vibe.
it's a vibe. Aside from jerking and all the laughs and all the things, this was cool. I really do appreciate you pull it up. And I think it shows like obviously where our friendship's been. Like it's not like anything crazy. It's like I haven't seen you in 13.7 years. How's
Oh my
life?
gosh,
It's like
yeah.
nothing like that. I think it's like it's the same
Yeah.
thing. We were joking about the most random stuff. Like we were talking about Vines before. That was literally how we were friends, like in a friend group before. I don't think
Yeah.
anything's changed, which is
It's
really
always
cool to
just,
know. Like
picking back up.
oh, 100%.
Always, yeah.
That's the thing I love. I'm glad to still know people today. Like even I call Colby, like Colby and I talk, we literally talk like almost every single day. And it's like, we're the same humans that we were. Like, it's not going to change. Like we've grown and
Right.
mature. We're other kids, like we're both married, all the things. But at the end of the day, we are still technically always gonna be the same because our first memory of each other is like whenever we first met,
Right.
when it was in high school. So we're always going to have those kiddish things that we do. So, but yeah, no, I really do appreciate you coming on, chatting, hanging out, and God, thank you for sharing your story too. I think it's real cool. I definitely want to make these spaces where people can learn and grow. We all can reach purpose, similar to what I said at the beginning, but also for y'all to pick up on a lot of things too. And I hope that these conversations are fulfilling and bring a lot of joy and opportunity for you to learn from in life too. Because I think us at our age and learning, we don't have this thing perfect, but we're progressing towards
Right.
something. And my goal is for everyone to be able to share their story and do that. So I really do appreciate you come. But that's it, y'all.
And
Thank you
that's
for
a
tuning
wrap.
in. That's a wrap. Love y'all so much. And always, always, always stay zealous. Bye.
Bye.